Hello everyone, welcome back for another book review. Today we are talking about this one. So this is Bird Magic, Wisdom of the Ancient Goddess for Pagans and Wiccans by Sandra, and I don't know how to say this last name, like Kynes? I don't know what the Y is supposed to like stand in as a letter for, so probably mispronounced. So this book is, again, one I just kind of saw it at the library and was like, sure, I shall place a hold for that one. Didn't really have any other like things. I searched like witchcraft, pagan. Usually I'll search the main publishers like Llewellyn and Weiser, and so this happened to pop up, and it's not like the worst book, but like it's not that great either. So to begin with, this is definitely an intermediate book. If you're a beginner, there's an assumption that you know some basics that, depending on where you're at as a beginner, you may or may not know. For example, not everyone knows how to do very good like meditation and visualization as a beginner. That's like a skill that, depending on what your beginner training was or that you've learned, you may or may not know about, and that is a lot of this, as well as like connecting to things and like creating sacred space. So I put this more as like intermediate because of that. The second reason for intermediate is I think this book, you need to know this is a very specific type of Wicca and pagan, and it's only a recent read, but from here on out it is my go-to to know stuff book, and that is Triumph of the Moon. I think you should read that one before you read this one. That one is hard, but it lets you know the history and how this kind of history came to be. And that's my big issue with this, is the author. Like, first of all, is like the majority of like the information of the book, not like the entries, but like the other portions of it, it feels like a love letter to like a specific author. Like, I have no idea how to say the name. I'll probably have it in the description, but this author definitely falls into the same camp as a few others that have this very like fantasized and like romanticized rose-colored glasses view of history, and like some people love that and that works for them, and okay. Personally, I don't like making claims of an ancient thing that doesn't actually exist. That bothers me. Other people, it works for them and that's fine, whatever. But for me, I want the history to actually be the history, and it's okay to say modern interpretations and that we view it now this way. That's totally fine. Our ancestors didn't always have it right, obviously, if you've ever looked in a history book. But like, this thing of like the goddess, the ancient, the goddess, has no ground really. And Triumph of the Moon discusses that in detail with all the sources and all the like, here's the receipts to it. And so I'm gonna just refer to that book for more on that topic, because like, dude has all of the knowledge, and I don't have a copy of that book yet, so I can't like flip to the section to be like, I'll read these pages though. Basically just read that book. But this falls on that same category of like this romanticized history, and that immediately started the red flag, but it progressively continued. So throughout the like majority of the book, where we have the different like entries of birds here, the history is iffy at best. So for me, most of it I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't know all of these cultures, so I cannot confirm nor deny. And like the Ogham, I don't know if there's different kinds or if I don't know. I haven't looked into them much, but I will say that the book and deck I have of the Ogham did not match in the slightest to what was in this book. But I also don't know that much about this, so I don't know, but there was little things that stood out to me. And so like for one, there was one on page like, I think it was 130. I'll grab my notes and see. Okay, yeah, so it was 130, and the quote, okay, so we're talking about the goose on 130, and we have this line. In Norse mythology, Freya was noted as goose-footed, which I don't remember that, but maybe, I don't know. But more specifically is this next line. Geese were used widely as a sacrificial animal and a frequent offering to Odin at Mabon. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in the Norse things, but like, I'm pretty confident Mabon is a modern thing. Like, Gerald Gardner era brought that up. There were holidays celebrated around that time, but to call it Mabon is a bit misleading. Because A, the Norse, have you seen that language? Because, like, it kind of looks like you whacked a keyboard that has the special characters with the little flingy flings on some of the letters, like I's and O's, and even like the D sometimes has a different shape to it because it's actually like a TH sound, and it's a different language. And so, like, this book, to say that it's Mabon, I was like, that doesn't seem like a thing. Because also, I feel like that wasn't a holiday the Norse, our ancestors Norse, had. I don't think that was a thing. Their thing was like, at Samhain, not called Samhain, because that was from Ireland, like, whatever their equivalent for the Halloween celebration is, which, again, look at that word. It's so hard to not pronounce correctly on a good day. So that just kind of stood out to me of like, okay, this is a red flag. Also, that's like such a random thing. I've never heard of geese being an offering to Odin. There's plenty. There's a lot of offerings in the Norse communities. I've never heard anybody be like, but listen, we give the goose to Odin. That was weird. Also, the Freya bit. Cannot confirm nor deny because she does have her cloak of feathers. But other than that, like, because of that in particular, other parts were like, how much should you actually trust this? And other reviewers had talked about this, which to me, I always forget to like have that like ping of like, red flag. When they say from Native Americans, because there's like, I think it's like over 500 tribes. They're different. I think just in like Utah area, if I remember right, I swear there's like 20 to 30 different tribes that have been around here. Some are no longer. I don't remember exactly when they kind of went out of existence. And like, I think some got like absorbed into like other tribes over time, but like there's a lot of tribes and they're not the same. And like other reviewers pointed that out and I'm like, yeah, that is a red flag, isn't it? Because think about it. Tribes from like the northeast of the US to the tribes here in like Utah, even here in Utah, if you go like northern tribes versus southern tribes, it's gonna be different. To those in like Oklahoma, to like California, like they're gonna be super different. And like any of the natives in any of their tribes could tell you they're gonna be different. There might be some overlapping, especially like regional, you know, like nearby tribes might have very similar beliefs and like practices, but like it's not gonna be the same. And so to just say it's a Native American thing is like, okay, that should be a red flag. What tribe are you getting it from? And like, where's the information of that tribe coming from? Because like most tribes are very secretive of their like knowledge and like animal associations and things like that. Like some tribes, especially nowadays with like TikTok, a few members are talking and like sharing some information, but it's not very open. It's a very closed practice. You either have to be born into it or like brought in by somebody. For the most part, some information is spread openly, but it's minor. And again, that is a red flag to watch out for of like, okay, but true, what tribe are you getting this from? Combine that with the history of the goddess and like some of the things, it was like, this feels, after reading Triumph of the Moon, you can just see the trail that he had laid out and you're like, yeah. So keep that in mind. Between those things, I found very little information that would be worthwhile for this book personally. I think if you want a book specifically for birds, you don't want other animals included, maybe, but the history and stuff you want to research further. And like, even then, it's just, the majority of this book is very iffy on a good day for the information side of it, that I feel like other authors have done a better job talking about than this one. So overall, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Personally, I don't know that I would really recommend it too much. It's not bad. Like the writing isn't terrible. It's just the information I feel like is very sketchy on a good day. So anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you love this? Did you not? If so, why? Both ways. And what books would you recommend on this? And again, really, I think if you're looking for a book on animals, probably those, like, I think it's Stephen D. Farmer is the dude that like has the most on it. He's got quite a few books on animals. I would go to him more than this book. As always, a huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names over here. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. I also wrote a book if you want to support me that way. It is a death ritual book for pretty much anybody, but I mean, kind of aimed specifically at witches and pagans and Wiccans. It's called The Death Journey. My pen name is Raven Wells. You can find it on Amazon in all of the formats. It is available ebook, paperback, and hardback, and if you want the audiobook, it is over on my Patreon. It uploads every Thursday. Until next time, thank you so much for listening to this review, and I will see you all soon. Blessed be.